It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. Ha! It's Feedback Friday. And I thought I'd do another video Feedback Friday because after last week's, people said they wanted more Momo. So Momo is here. Aren't you, Momo? Yeah, Momo met a very special friend this week that will be coming in a couple of weeks. Momo met Rhianna Pratchett. Yes, Momo and I interviewed video game writer Rhianna Pratchett. So that will be coming up on the channel 2 Wednesdays from now. Very excited about that. It was a really great piece. We had some technical difficulties, but she told a lot of really great stories from her work in video games. And we talked about how awesome Overlord is. Yes, we did, Momo. Yes. But Rhianna is very much a cat person. So Momo clearly sensed that and is right front and center for most of the interview. Yes, Momo. But also coming up next week, a really great piece. It's so long because there's so much good stuff. I think I'm going to break it up in chunks. But writer Brian Edward Hill will be the guest next week on Dialogue Options. And he talks about a lot of stuff about the movie industry and some of the stuff that happens there and comic books. He's got an absolutely awesome comic out right now called Postal, which I highly recommend. I didn't want to shill while he was on. But if you want to do some reading before Brian's interview airs, check out Postal. It's a cool, well, okay, I've read the first 4. I bought volume 1. I have to buy volume 2. But the first volume was really awesome. The main character in this small town with a dark secret, but the main character has Asperger's syndrome or high-functioning autism, depending on who you ask. And it's relevant in an adorable way, so that's my recommendation. But what's the feedback for the week? Well, first of all, the feedback was more Momo, right, Momo? Yeah, see the people. There's Momo. There's Momo. Yeah, people love Momo, so we have more Momo. But obviously the big video this week, well, last Feedback Friday's video about the Ghostbusters thing was generated a lot of comments on its own. And also the video I did about the whole mansplaining controversy and Notch and why I was going to stop using the term mansplaining. That has been sorely tested since that video aired, because I got a lot of people who claim to be big advocates of women mansplaining me on mansplaining, and it was very hard. I had to avoid, it's like, you are doing that thing I said I would not use anymore, and it was hard. The feedback from people was really touching in both cases, because it was, yeah, this is where we're coming from, and thank you for understanding. And the number of guys who's like, yeah, it does hurt, and it does feel like we're being shut down. And, you know, I think moments like this are good ways of opening dialogue on these subjects instead of shutting it down. And my Justice League pillow is upside down. That's not a good thing. There we go. Fixed. Right, Momo? Soft things are important. We need to create a dialogue where no one feels shut down. Not men, not women, and that is a difficult balance a lot of the time. Just going to fix my camera. That can be a difficult balance. When you get large groups of people, it becomes difficult to make sure everyone has a term. But that doesn't mean it's not worthwhile to make the attempt. And I think that too often we go for the easy solution instead of the correct one. And so we just end up creating a different problem. We solve one problem by creating another problem, and that really isn't solving a problem. That's just moving the problem around, right? And I'm big on solutions. I'm just a solutions-driven person, right, Momo? Yeah, Momo's all about solutions. His solution is to sleep or to eat. Most problems can be solved in that regard, right, Momo? Or love. Momo's big on, and Momo is seeing a squirrel out the window. Look at him, laser focus. Every time we get sort of one of these moments where people start sharing, and people start sharing from a vulnerable place, I feel like I have gotten something right. And that's the way I feel after those 2 videos. Got a lot of traction on my Elbowgate article on Facebook, and people have said I should do more politics. I'm thinking about that. I think I'll do that as a writing thing. Momo doesn't think I should do more politics. Momo doesn't like politics. But there he goes. This is the time I sort of wanted to talk about where we're going to go together with this channel, because that's part of Feedback Friday, and I always try to get a question for you guys. There's a few different ways to go in terms of upcoming projects. And I'm looking for you guys for feedback in terms of what sort of content you want to see moving forward once A Gamer's Guide to Feminism is finished. Because there's only about 4 or maybe 5 episodes left. I know it seems like, oh, that's still a lot. I want to sort of get back into game content itself. And that brings me to another bit of feedback I wanted to address. People have been asking me about the whole Doom thing. I think it may take a while for me to have time to play Doom, and I want to play Doom because Doom is fun. And Doom is one of those games where I thinky a lot about games. And I think that is overall a good thing. But there are some games I just want to turn off my brain and play. And Doom is one of those games. And so I'm not sure I want to cross that Rubicon into analysis on a game series I play just for fun. So I'm still thinking about it. I thought of actually firing up a Twitch stream and just playing the game with you guys. I thought about, oh, camera focus, come on, camera, hello, there. I gotta have a few things that are just fun and I don't think about a lot, you know. And Doom is one of those games. So that's what's going on with Doom. I've talked about this through Patreon messaging with my patrons. One is live shows where people can actually ask questions through chat, come on, talk, stuff like that. That will be Patreon members only. Why? I need some incentive for people to pay for this content. The vast majority of the money I make off the videos I do comes directly from Patreon support. And eventually I would like to have just like a yearly membership or something like that, the way the David Pakman show does. I am not equipped to do that yet. It would need to be an automated system. And I will muck around. I am self-taught on everything involving computers. I do not want to be self-taught on anything involving people's credit cards for obvious reasons. So I am not there yet. If anybody knows how to make those sorts of scripts work, please let me know. Please let me know how an automated system would work that way, because I know there's some people who don't like Patreon. The thing is, I need a reliable source of income. So if it's yearly, monthly, weekly, it doesn't really matter as long as it's regular, as long as it's something I can rely on. And, you know, $1 a month is enough. If people are like, oh, I really can't afford it. Even $1 a month. If everybody who watch these videos, like even if you watch one video a week, paid $1 a month, I would be able to do this full time. And that's just that would be the easiest monetization model for me. And I know there are some people who can't afford it, and that's why it's optional, and that's why I don't pay all my content. It's a philosophical thing for me. It's easy to say $1 a month won't kill you, but I'm not willing to demand that of people. There are some people who legitimately cannot afford it. They're, you know, running out of grocery money at the end of the month, and I don't want to take money out of those people's pockets. There are also people who watch around the world in countries where purchasing power is very different than there's no right word for it now, the West, developed world, whatever you don't call it. But it does lead to a money crunch. So this is me once again doing my PBS thing. If you can kick in $1, a few bucks a month, I'd really appreciate it. One of the things coming up is E3. I am going to E3 through the writing I do at CGM, so I'll be covering it for them. I'm not sure what to do about E3 this year because my traffic just took a dive during E3 last year. E3 is really good for making connections with developers, but it's not good for content because everything's streamed direct, and that's what people are watching. They're watching that direct developer stuff, and developer interviews are very hard to come by if you're not a giant company with a huge crew. There are critics weeks before E3, and the big sites get access that nobody else does. Being Canadian media, we go to the back of the line. So I'm looking from you guys, what content do you want to see? Are there indie games that you're interested in? What do you want to see more of? Let me know, because I will make a point of checking it out. Last year I did coverage on Skyshine's Bedlam because somebody on Twitter asked me to. But that's the last thing I want to talk about. The sound on the videos for some people. Not everybody had this issue. And some people said it was too quiet. Some people said it was too loud. Some people said the audio was garbled. I have no idea why. The only thing I can think of in the two videos that there were issues with were that I have been boosting the volume on videos because people used to complain they were too quiet. So I tried to boost the audio. There were a couple places where it peaked or overmodulated. That has not been a problem before. All of a sudden, it has become a problem where it pushes down the volume or just messes up the volume of the entire video. So for Thursday's video, the interview with Anna Valens, which I recommend you guys watch it. It went up Thursday instead of Wednesday because there were encoding issues with YouTube and it didn't go up properly the first time. It didn't publish properly. And when you're uploading an hour and a half to YouTube, it can be a time-consuming process depending on how long it is. But so it went up Thursday. But I really recommend you guys go back and watch that because it's a really good conversation about the disconnect in traditional journalism and traditional academia and games journalism and games academia. And it's a really good chat about that. It was nice to have somebody there who actually has, gone through the same programs and been taught the same tools. And we're sort of like, yeah, these traditions we're drawing from to analyze games don't really work on games. And so we need a new system. And I'm hoping we can try to start building that system together on this channel. Now, of course, I need a budget to do that, whether that is Kickstarter, whether that is, I would like to just have a monthly chunk of money that I can allocate. And the reason I say that is because with Kickstarter, that is your life for 30 days. You have to actively manage that campaign. And that means I'm not doing other things. So my content here is going to suffer for the 30 days I'm doing a Kickstarter to make content. This doesn't seem like a good solution to me. I cannot chase sponsors. I do not have the hours in a day, and it is not my skill. I am terrible at sales. Terrible. I am great at researching. I am great at analysis. I am, great at consulting. Sales, never had an ability for, never had the talent for it. Not my skill. So if you know anybody who's willing to sponsor, hey, great. But sponsorship is, I've dipped my toe in it a few times and I'm wary of it. And I'll tell you why. Every experience I have had where I have been clear, you are sponsoring the content. You are not in control of the content. Oh, yes, yes, yes. We would never get in the way of it is still your piece. That never ends up to be the case. They always want creative control because the minute you get sponsored content, the FCC regulations are very clear that you must scream sponsored content from the rafters, and it seems like you're just a paid shill to begin with. But also, they always want something. There is always some cost to taking money from a sponsor. It's too important to me that you guys can trust that there is no artificial filter between you and the opinions you get from me. And that's why the monthly support is so important. It's like PBS, right? PBS doesn't have advertising, they have member support. It's the same thing. And I think it's the best model. It's not a perfect model, but I think it's the best model. So that's that. So yeah, recap. If you have any idea how to do Patreon memberships that, sorry, not Patreon memberships, PayPal memberships that automatically renew after a certain date, let me know. And if you have requests for E3, games you want me to look at, please let me know. Specifically, indie titles, because they're easier to just walk up without an appointment. But also, just in general, what kind of future content do you want to see? Do you want to see more political stuff? Do you want to, are there specific games coming up that you want to see in general? The stuff that seems to do best is the stuff about women. But I do want to talk about other things. So please let me know and have a good weekend. And yes, I know, more Momo. We're working on that. I delivered this time. So yes, I have heard you on that. Have a great weekend. We'll be back for Mountain Monday. On Monday.